How much do you think Jeff Bezos makes per day? $100,000? How about $1 million? $1 million a day means $365 million in a year. But in 2019, Bezos earned $39 billion, which means if you divide it into the numbers of the days in a year, that will amount us to $107 million every 24 hours. It's that insane. But that's not by the accident, because rich people are focused on buying assets. An asset is basically something that constantly puts money back into your pocket. Unfortunately, we mostly spend our money buying liabilities such as cars, phones, and houses. That's constantly make money out of our pockets. That's why we don't see our wealth grows as much as rich people do. In fact, some people are in such much debt that they are poor every day, since interests in this so high. That's why here in this video we are going to explore the 7 most important assets that the rich buy the get richer. So make sure you listen carefully, because it might be one of the most valuable things you will ever learn. Number 1, businesses. If you have ever watched Shark Tank, you probably realize that sharks are trying to buy equity in valuable businesses, especially this with the bigger potentials. The best investments you can ever make is the thriving businesses. What makes business different from all other assets is that they constantly produce something. Being a service or a product, they constantly improve their products or come up with the new ones to stay ahead of their competitors. Having a stake in the valuable businesses is the best way to keep growing your wealth and generate cash flow. Of course, for most people that's not an option, because buying the piece of the businesses is simply too expensive, even if we are talking about the corner shop. However, the financial systems we have built over the centuries is so advanced that businesses are broken down into the millions, if not billions, of the small pieces, which allows almost anyone to own a tiny slice of any multi-billion dollars company by investing in the stock market. If you want to know more about the stock market, check out our video on the how to buy the stocks, which link will be in the descriptions. Second, royalties. In the 1999, Jeff Bezos filed a planet for the method of the ordering items online. It's called one-click buying. It's techniques that allows the customers to make the purchase with the payment informations that they have used previously and saved. In other words, instead of the manually inputting billing and shipping informations for the purchase every single time, user can use one-click buying by using the predefined address and a credit card number to purchase the item. When you buy an app from the Apple stores, you don't re-enter your credit information. You simply double click on the side button, and the software will automatically use your saved credit cards. And until 2017, Apple and every other company that used these techniques paid a small royalty to Jeff Bezos for using his innovations. It might sound silly to you, but that's how the world works. In order to encourage innovations, governments have set up systems of the patents. Since you have worked so hard to involve the new products or the services, you will be granted an exclusive 20 years patent where no one is legally allowed to use it except you or the people you have given permissions. Of course, you can use your innovations to profit from it directly, or you can license it to others for the small commissions fee every time they use it, and potentially earn billions as Jeff Bezos did. It's probably one of the best passive income ideas ever. However, building a useful technology isn't that easy. That's why companies essentially in the US field for thousands of the patents every year, even if they don't need it, since if someone else uses the technology, they will have to pay them a royalty. Next, mutual funds. They are the two types of the money problems. The first one is when you don't have enough to feed of it, and we are probably all familiar with it. But second is when you have too much money and you have to manage it. Keeping it under your mattress isn't the good option since inflation is going to eat it. On out over time, but neither keeping in the bank is a wise option since the internet on the fixed deposit is too low. However, you have got another options which is mutual funds. Mutual funds are not index funds. Index funds binary invest in a certain index like the S&P 500, but mutual funds carefully analyze the market and try to beat it at least by the small margin. When you invest $1 billion, 1% difference will make the real difference because it will almost $10 million. So when you are given an option with a 3 or 4% higher, you are looking into the market extra 20 or $30 million. That's why the rich always try to keep most of their money in the mutual funds and just watch it grows over time. And asset doesn't necessarily mean physical products or the royalty, but they could also be a skill. Force. Skill, of course, it's not an asset in the traditional meaning, but it's in many different ways. Having a skill that's always in demand is the constant stream of income, even if that takes some of your time. Take an example of the surgeons. It's the highly complex skills and requires years of educations and training. However, on the other side, it means there is isn't much competitions and means that you can charge premium for your services. That's why a lot of the surgeons are actually millionaires since they are paid generously. Of course, that applies to other professions such as the lawyers, physicians, and so on. However, with the rise of the internet, skills such as coding, online sales, and programming language are becoming virtual and can be self-taught at home. It's a perfect options for those who are at the beginning of the building their wealth. If you don't have enough to invest in the stocks market, you can invest in the acquiring more skills than would potentially generate more than a one crown. Fifth and number five, we have real estate, which is probably most people's favorite type of estate. And that's not by accident. You can touch it, feel it, and it fulfills one of the basic human needs. Shelter, which means there's almost always a demand for it. Rental property is probably the best passive income asset you can have. Of course, that doesn't mean it doesn't require any hustles and capital, but it's manageable to a certain degree. What determines the quality of the real estate is its location. Quite often of these places not in the most suitable locations, it can turn into the huge liability where you can't rent it out but still have to pay the utilities. I personally know the people who have inherited properties where they don't want to live but also can't rent out since it's not a popular destinations, but they still have to pay the bills to keep the house free of debt. However, if it's the desirable places, it will easily get rented out even if it's not in the best conditions. But you know what? As much better asset that real estate seeks online products like music. It's super difficult to come up with good music. However, once you do it, it can continuously generate income. Take an example of Eminem. For the past 20 years, he has been at the top of the music industry. The music he has released, such as I Am Not Afraid, is still listened by the lots of the people across the world, even though it was released back in 2010. And with the introduction of the Spotify and the Apple Musics, the artists have gained extra streams of incomes. However, if you are not limited in music, online products are becoming more and more popular, such as the courses, presence apps, software, and a lot more. Seventh, connections, and finally connections. It might not seem as an asset, but if you look at the form of the different perspective, they could be much more valuable than you think. Great thing happens when the talented people from the different aspects of their life come together under the roof. You have a business idea, knowing the right people can make starting that business of to a million times easier. In fact, and advice from the right person could save you years of the experience, if not decades. Since we live in the world of the social distancing, try network using the digital tools such as the LinkedIn or other social media tools. If you want to connect with me, head to our website and shoot me a message. This list could be much longer, but I included what I personally think are the most important ones. If the guys have enjoyed this video, make sure give it as the thumbs up, and if you want to see more of content, then hit the subscribe button and the bell beside it, so the next video will appear right at your homepage. But if you really enjoyed our videos, want some additional pics, then check out our Patreon page. Thanks for watching, and until next time.